Hey all, Tomo's Alters here and welcome to another repair video. And today we're going to be learning how to change the oil and the oil filter on my 2004 Honda Accord. Usually it's pretty similar on most cars. There may be a few differences in terms of location of the oil filter, but in terms of changing oil, it's pretty much the same. Different quantities, different types of oil filter, different types of oil. All I would recommend is going to your manufacturer specifications if you've got your book, your manufacturer's book or your service manual, or just look it up on the internet, or speak to your local dealer or garage, and they will be able to give you the specifications for your car. Okay, so the reasons why we are going to change our oil. Okay, we should do our oil every year at least, or every certain amount of mileage or kilometers, distance covered essentially. That's all denoted in your user manual, so I'll just show you mine here. Okay, yeah, so as you can see, it says here, replace engine oil, and this is every 10,000 kilometers, 6,250 miles, or 1 year. So we're hitting that time now, so we are going to replace the oil. Servicing the oil is really easy, and it's something that unfortunately a lot of owners do miss out on, where they do not change their oil, or change it too late, or they're out of their intervals. That really affects engine performance, engine durability, longevity of the engine. If you've got like a wet belt or anything like that, that can really severely degrade the belt over time. Also can degrade components. You really do want to change your oil as within the manufacturer specifications. If you do feel like, for example, some manufacturers may say it's 10,000 miles, 15,000 miles, just change it whenever you can. On some of the hard driven cars that I have, I change it every 6 months. However, on the Accord, it's a daily car. I drive about 5,000 miles a year. I just change it every year, regardless. Okay. Only basic tools are required for this job. So I've got the jack, which is already under the car, which I'll show you a little bit later on. I've got my mat, so I can lay on it with previous oil stains on there. I've got my torch, just basically so I can see underneath the car. And then I've also got the oil pan, so that's where all the oil will go from in the engine. I've got the tub. By the way, these are all from Halfords, by the way. Got the tub where the old oil will go into. I've got new oil, so this stuff is under the specifications for my car in terms of the API and also the viscosity, i.e. it's 5W40. Okay, really good oil. I got this from eBay for £28. So really easy, and it's good stuff. Okay, like I say, go off your owner's manual and use what your owner's manual tells you to use. Okay, next. Okay, in most of my cars, I pretty much always go for OEM stuff. You can't go wrong with OEM stuff. Unless you're using like race cars or drift cars, there's no real need to go anywhere else. And sometimes actually, some products can even be worse. But there's an OEM Honda filter, which is good. I've also got a washer for the sump plug. I've also got, where is she? I've also got my OEM oil filter removal tool. Just makes it a little bit easier. Just put it right around there and I turn it. Easy is good. Okay, I've got my funnel here to fill it up. Some cable ties, which are for the under tray. And then I've also got my Halfords Advanced Toolkit. And most importantly, I've got some rags and some cloths just to put under the car, just in case I'm making a spillage. But as you can see, really easy. Not many tools at all for this car. You find out with a lot of older cars, especially a lot of older Japanese cars, things are quite easy to get to. Which is really good. But on most cars, an oil and oil filter service is a really basic, and it's really easy to do. So step one, same as most mechanical stuff on cars, is to jack the car up if you need to jack the car like I do. Okay. Again, I've jacked it up on the subframe just as the workshop manual tells me to do. And then I've also got the axle stands underneath the car for support, which is very important because I will be going underneath the car to obviously change oil. Then after that, we need to take this under trail fair, which is held on by some very trusty cable ties because Hondas are old and they rust. We do have some nuts and bolts at the rear. So once I have done that, I'll take the jack away. It's just to show you where I jack it up from. And then what I will do is I will take a under tray off and I will join you once I've done that. Okay, so that is the under tray now off. Okay, and there is the oil pan. So this is your oil pan. Okay, always located underneath the engine. Try not to get confused between the gearbox, which in this car is here, and the oil pan. I've heard that some people have drained the gearbox fluid when they should have drained the engine oil. So some cars, they have oil, a little oil and an arrow facing outwards, just to show you where the sump plug is. Some cars don't, but if you don't know, again, just go in your workshop manual, it's all there. But that is your sump plug. So what we need to do now is put some towels and stuff on the ground and put my my oil catcher down on the ground. Then we will loosen the sump plug where the oil will drain out. But first things first, let's go into the engine bay. Here we are at the engine bay of the mighty Accord. Okay, so first off, what we're going to do is we're just going to do a bit of health checking. So we're just going to check the condition of the oil. This can gauge the car's history, this can gauge how the engine's getting on, this can gauge many health factors about the car, so it's really good to do this. So first off, we'll just take the oil cap off. This also improves the flow of oil as well when you take the sump plug off. Having a look in, yeah, it looks pretty good to me. Can't see any sort of sludge or any sort of creamy contaminants which could suggest maybe head gasket or another problem, but we will clean it up after as well. Okay, taking a dip, so it's always great to check your dipsticks, make sure how much oil is, see if the engine's burning oil, especially you don't check it in between oil changes, which you should. It's also a great idea to check that as well. Bear with, I would usually have a towel, but I cannot film and do both. You can see the oil's in pretty much gleaming condition. Slightly dark, but that's just used oil, and it's filled up to the correct level, which is absolutely perfect. Sometimes on these, if you are using you got your Civic taken around the track, you can fill up just to the sort of curvature in the dipstick there, especially if you haven't got a baffled sump. But yeah, that's spot on. So your oil should look like that if it's serviced and maintained correctly. Then that's everything cleaned up. Like I said, if your oil is really dark, it should be sort of that colour really. It could potentially be a little bit darker. In a petrol engine, if it does start sort of coming into this colour, then potentially the engine oil is quite worn and maybe hasn't been changed for a while. If you are just buying a car and you are looking at the condition of the engine, looking at the oil is a really good way to do that. If it is really, really dark brown, it definitely needs to change. If you're encroaching sort of black on a petrol engine, then you should be really asking the question, has it been serviced correctly, and the condition of the engine and the oil. But nevertheless, if you are doing a diesel though, it will always be black as anything. So don't have to worry about that too much. Okay, that's all the admin on the top complete. We've cleaned everything up, we've checked the oil. I'm content that the oil was in a good condition. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go underneath the car, we're going to take that sump plug off. Here we are underneath the car, back to the sump plug, and now it's time to take her off. So, grab your wrench. Here's one that I undid earlier, don't worry, they're not all this easy. Really simple. Obviously I've got my glove of safety on just to make sure that I don't get any oil on me or any contaminants. I would normally put my hand to the top of the car to not get any oil on it, but unfortunately in this instance I can't hold the camera and do it at the same time. When you feel it, and just drain. And there she goes, all draining into the oil pan. And that is absolutely spot on. And we'll take the plug out and we'll clean it, change the washer on, and we'll let that drain for a little while. Usually takes most cars just a few minutes. One bit of information I should probably point out as well is some plugs are magnetic, so you can buy magnetic sump plugs for your cars. I've got them on my other cars as well. I should probably get one for the Honda, to be honest. I'll do that next time. Magnetic sump plugs, what they do is they attract any sort of particles of metal that are in your car. It can give you a good indication of how healthy the engine is, to see if there's any metal particles that are getting brought up onto the sump plug. But yeah, I just did mine then and there was nothing to be concerned of, so all is well. Right, that is the engine fully drained of oil. So now what we're going to do is we're going to clean up the surface area, and then we will put the plug back on, and then we're good to go. Grab the ratchet and then we'll tighten the bolt up. It's maybe slightly harder when you're holding the camera, but never mind. And I'll be back when it's tightened up. And that is our drain plug, all tightened up specification with a new washer on there as well. And there's our old engine oil there. You can have a sieve through this, see if there's any metal particles in there. Usually you can see sort of on the outer layer here, you can see sort of small metal shavings. If there's any things like that, there's something wrong with your engine. But this looks pretty spot on to me. So what we'll do now is we will get the engine oil filter removed. So here we are under the car. Maybe quite tricky to film this, so I'll try and get the best shot that I possibly can. Okay, there we go. So that's the engine oil filter. It's just above the drive shaft in this car. On the driver's side, and certainly the best way to get this off, I found. If you can't get it off with your hands, you can then just put the oil filter wrench around that to get it off, and it doesn't take too long at all. Also, something good to note as well, if there is sort of components below your oil filters, try and sort of protect those as much as possible. So what I've done is I've got some towel here which will protect all the subframe. But for the purpose of this video, I won't cover everything, just so that you guys can see how to get it off. And then essentially what I'll do is I'll just brake clean it all afterwards and make sure it's all clean and spiky with Sam as it is already. But I will put the oil filter wrench on. Yeah, so that's how it should look. So we've got the oil filter wrench on there attached to a medium ratchet, as I call it, and essentially all you just need to do now is just turn. So hopefully you can see that. Now I'm just going to essentially turn it. Here you can see by the writing that's the oil wrench moving. Getting some carts easy, others. It's nice and easy on this car, to be honest with you. Much easier than using any sort of other filter wrench. Potentially you can get some rubber or some wire filter wrenches that you can put over the filter. This filter wrench I've got here seems to work in quite a lot of cars I do as well, so it's nice and easy. Okay, and once it's nice and loose, we can take that off. And we'll simply just take that off now. But just so I don't get stuff everywhere, I'll just pause the video here, I'll take it off, clean everything up, and then I'll show you guys the result of when the oil filter is off. So there you go, it's off now. Minimum spillage due to, it's always good just to have some rags there just to catch the oil. Usually is about 0.5 to sometimes maybe a litre. Not usually like 0.8 capacity in the oil, and that's just going to go straight down on top of you in this scenario. So it's always good to have a little bit of a catch there. But yeah, what I've done is I've cleaned around the oil filter to where it sits. Now what we need to do is go and grab the oil filter, unpackage it, and then we will fit that to the car. There you go, again, nice and easy. Here's your oil filter, like I said, OEM Honda oil filter. Some oil filters come with instructions as well, which I thought was quite interesting. I was just having a read there. So yeah, absolutely use those instructions. Some oil filters you require to fill. I've heard of this as well, potentially on some engines. It's not something I've actually had to do in my time. Certainly would, as it states here, see the manual if you do have to do that or not. On this you don't, so that's fine. And I've never had to do that before. Potentially with some vehicles, for any reason you potentially have to do that. But what you do have to do there is wax some oil around the seal, so we'll do that. I like to use fresh oil because I feel like, well, one, it doesn't make any difference at all, but I just feel better in myself for putting fresh oil on a fresh oil filter. So we're just gonna lube the oil seal. So it's much easier. Maybe we should invest in a GoPro. Anyway, that is all lubed, and now we will get that on the car. So there we have it, that is 1x oil filter nicely seated. As you can see, there was instructions for me to put on, which I used using a small torque wrench I've got. Just couldn't film it just because it's quite tricky holding the phone and doing it at the same time. And what I would say though, if you don't have any particular instructions on how to do it, just tighten it hand tight. Okay, no need to go crazy with it. Okay, don't leave it loose, but then also don't use a tool and tighten it up as hard as you can, because that's just going to be a pain. One, you use strip threads, and two, it's just really hard for the next person who's going to come along to change it. Even if they have a tool, sometimes it's going to be an absolute pain. So yeah, absolutely. If you follow the specific instructions that are on the oil filter or your manufacturer instructions, but if not, hand tight is the way to go. Cool. Next job. So now we've done that, and we've also put the filler bolt back in on the oil. Then now we can go up and we can fill the engine oil. So I thought it was worth mentioning, on some cars, especially all the models, you do actually have a step-by-step guide on how to do this. On some newer cars, you don't, for particular reasons. But on older models, you will find that you'll have exact instructions on how to do stuff. So pretty much exactly as I've said, which is nice to know. I'm not doing anything too wrong. Essentially, so now we are on the replace the engine oil. So as you can see, we need to use 4.2 litres of engine oil. My rule of thumb is I always put about 0.5 litres. Less than that, I do it until I can start to hit on the dipstick. And then I'll start filling it up in increments. So today I'm going to put 4 litres in, then I'll check the dipstick, and then we can go from there. And like I say, always check your manufacturer's instructions so that you know exactly how much oil to put in there. You certainly don't want to underfill, and if you do overfill, it's just a bit of a pain because then you've got to go under the car and then drain some oil. But 4.2 litres it is for today. Cool, here we have it, 4.2 litres going in. Nice and easy. I won't film the whole thing. Just fill your engine oil up. I'll get back to you when she's filled up. So that's about 4 litres put in. We've just given a bit of time for the oil to drain down to the oil sump so we can get an accurate reading from our dipstick. So dipstick is getting inserted. So it's a little bit harder when you're holding the camera. Never mind. Off she goes in. And then we can get an accurate reading. So where are we? So as you can see, we are about there on the dipstick. So I say we've got about, usually about half a litre. I'd say I'll put about 300 millilitres in, and then we'll have another check. So that is the Accord filled up with oil all the way to the correct level. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start the car. Starting the car means that then the oil can get through to the oil filter. And that's usually about 0.5, maybe not to 0.8, maybe a litre of oil, which isn't accounted for yet. So what we'll do is we'll get the car started, leave it running for a few seconds, and then we will stop the engine, and then we will check the dipstick in, and you'll find that some has disappeared. But whilst the oils then get into the oil filter, what we can do is also check underneath the car for any leaks from the oil filter, or any leaks from the oil drain plug. So the drain plug's looking good. What I'll do is I'll check the oil filter now, and then we'll turn the car off. Because what I'm doing now, we're just waiting for all the engine oil to go down to the bottom of the dipstick, so I can get an accurate reading to fill the filler up properly. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lower the car, take off the axle stands, put the under tray back on, so that I can get an accurate reading on a level playing field. Once I've done that, I'll get back to you. Okay, so the car is now lowered onto the ground, and I've filled it up various times, just getting it to the right level. As you can see, that engine oil is, you can just about see it, to be honest. There you go. There, she's bang on where she needs to be. That is full, and that is the oil change and filter change complete. That's me done for the day. Hope you enjoyed that video. So all we did was we just changed the oil and the oil filter on our car. Like I said, it's possibly one of the most important, or the most important maintenance that you can do on any car or any vehicle. Absolutely get it done. Do it within your manufacturer specifications. Do it within your correct time limits. Don't go over on oil changes. So that cost me there, what are we looking at? So £28 plus, that cost me there about £40 to do an oil change. So it's really easy. Doesn't cost much at all. Takes me about an hour normally without filming. Like I said before, most cars will be the same or thereabouts similar. And if you do want to see more of my content, especially repair videos, which there will be a lot coming in the next few months, please like, subscribe, comment if you wish as well. Comment things that you do, tips and tricks. Comment things that you liked about that video. Comment things that you think that I could also improve on. But yeah, hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you next time in the next video. Goodbye.